We got to control media at a high level. We got to control education at a high level, because they put out a report that say, the people who have the highest education debt are not the people who struggling with it. It's the people who only got a little bit of education and got debt that struggle with it. Because the more education you get, right, the more skill sets you have, the more capability you have, the more earning power you have. So people spend a little money on education and be like, I didn't get my money's worth. You ain't spent enough to get your money's worth. I buy books every single day, damn near. Increasing your education increases your earning power. It's a simple thing, and we're not educated enough. And education is not just in institutions, it's self-education, it's private education, it's independent education. So the media and education, to me, are the most pivotal points to the movement, to inspire, right? To program, to educate. Because at a deprogramming, you have to reprogram, so who's got to be able to create the program? 2024 going to be different, I promise y'all. It's going to be a lot of wars. It's going to be a lot of wars. It's going to have to make people uncomfortable. It got to make people uncomfortable. You gotta goddamn shake up the thrones. You gotta shake up the thrones. If people aren't shaken up, if people aren't offended, if people aren't, one thing about messengers of God, messiahs, they don't come with a message that people already agree with. If you already agree with the message, then you don't need it. This is why most of the time, if you are someone who has a message from God or higher up, the people not going to like you while you're living. No, you have to tell them what they don't want to hear, but they need to hear in order to make change. And that sort of messaging takes time for people to accept. They have to be in opposition, and then it's going to be violently opposed, then it is accepted. It's violently opposed, scrutinized, then accepted. The goal is, for me specifically, it's about finding your tribe season. Creating alliances with those that you need to build with. Creating alliances with those you need to build with. That's my whole goal going into things. I was listening to a brother break down this tool, this technological tool that can help people like optimize their workload. And I'm like, man, people don't care. People don't really want to sit down in their day and take responsibility for their own advancement. You think a person really want to sit in front of a screen and learn how to utilize something that can advance their consciousness? No, we are at this generation, we don't want to work hard anymore. This generation just want to do things. We're spoiled. This is how we're so past so many different things. You guys aren't oppressed. You oppress yourself if you feel that you're oppressed. You're spoiled. You're spoiled. If you got an iPhone, you're spoiled. If you got an iPhone, you're spoiled. But we spoiled. We only want to do the things we love. That's what a spoiled person does. When you only want to do the things that you love, you're spoiled. When you got to do the things you need to do, that's different. But we are the most spoiled generation. We got everything. So the only proposition is the self-wars that we go through to where you can't get out of the stuck phase. You don't realize how selfish you are and how stuck you are in your ideas and how much you are in your own way. You don't want to work for nobody, but you don't know how to be a boss. We don't want to listen to nobody. You got to learn. Listen, if you can't take orders, you no good. When I was young, I had to learn how to take orders at a young age. I had to learn how to take orders from the OGs. We had to sit in meetings for hours just sitting like this as we learn and listen. And it was learning to control yourself. We would be in the ranks drilling. Left feet, right feet, bow feet, real salute in the hot sun. They just like hold it while they talking to us. And we just had to sit there and learn discipline. They say if a fly land on you, don't move. Submission is power. But nowadays, nobody wants to learn. Everybody's ego be so much into it. Oh no, you can't be the leader. Oh no, you telling me what to do. You can't tell me what's wrong. Why is your ego so goddamn fragile to where you can't be told what to do? Why you got so much pride? That's the problem. The world got too much pride going on. So much pride. You're throwing pride parades everywhere. Nah. You want to live a rainbow lifestyle, man, you need to focus and be a laser. Ill said, if nobody wants to do what's to be told, then how do we follow a good agenda? How do we follow a good blueprint? Nobody wants to listen. Everybody just wants to be in their feelings. You got to get out your damn feelings for 2024. I'm going to tell you, your feelings ain't worth shit. You think somebody supposed to operate on what you feel? Nobody give a damn about what you feel. You better get in your mind. This is a war going on. The easiest people to influence are people that's in their feelings. Easiest people to influence are people that are emotional. It used to be women and children were the most emotional. Now the men be emotional as hell. Don't want to talk to things because even being in your emotions, that feeling that you don't want to confront conflict, that's emotional. That's a fear. No, talk to me. What's the issue? What's the problem? Confront things. It ain't nothing but a logic. What we got to talk about? Oh, I said something you ain't like? Well, let's talk about it. How can we move? What's the appeal? How can we get past it? You know what I'm saying? Rise above emotions into the thinking of a God. Right? No, this whole fake ass, you hating if you call out somebody, it ain't hating. Not unless you seriously got a vendetta against that. It ain't hating if it's truth. That's why I said Ye is back. But I don't want to hear nothing about Ye unless you talking about what's false and what's reality. That's the only thing I want to hear now. That's the new baseline for conversation. I don't care about what you feel about nothing. I just want you to know that. Just tell me what's truth and what's not, and let's only build on what's truth. That's it. I don't care about but feelings, emotions, and cries and tears. Say that for your mama. She gonna care more than anybody. We gotta only build on truth. But that's why it's so hard to talk to people nowadays. It's hard to build anything. And this is why we admire the operations of people outside our culture, because they ain't even got to get along with each other to do business. I don't even like so-and-so, but shit, we got this $1 million project we about to run together. That ain't getting in the way of business. When we don't like each other, we take it personal. We can't do business with each other no more because you don't know how to get out your emotions. You feel me? So the operation of getting out of emotions is the literally thinking of the logic that supersedes the emotion. The moment that you start to take a step back and you start to analyze, you're no longer in an emotional place. You're now in a strategy place. What's the best way to move forward? So you identify it from a logical standpoint, or what do I feel? No, why am I feeling this? Now you're questioning, right? Yes, we know what, but now what's the why? Let's get to the root. All right, how do we get past this? All right, what's my issue with so-and-so? All right, what's the best way of dealing with this? How can we have a benefit that's for both of us? What's the outcome that I want? Now you're starting to operate from a different standpoint. You're starting to operate in the logic. You're starting to be a critical thinker. And the moment you step back and analyze, you are becoming a strategist. The moment you step back completely out the field and you look at things from different perspectives, you start to create a campaign for what you need to do because you're thinking about the end result in mind. So now you're not being emotional, which is just waves of energy. You're coming to a point. The logic has to add up to something, to a mathematical position, a coordinates. So the logic is the coordination of thoughts, where the emotion is just the flowing of thoughts and feelings moving about. It's just the spiraling of energy being created. So your goal is to take your thoughts and say, all right, what is the point that I want to get? And let me now figure out the math. What is it adding up to? Once you become that type of thinker, you can operate in any room. You can operate against any problem. You can solve anything you want to do. And sometimes you end up realizing you got to take a step so far back because you got so much work to do within yourself before you can get over certain emotions, before you can operate functionally in society. And many aren't willing to do the work of diagnosing themselves, taking a step back and saying, I'm emotional because I associate, right, this action with this feeling, right, because of something that happened to me rooted in my past that has me now cycling this emotion in connection to this thing. It has nothing to do with this situation I'm actually faced with. It's the way that I process things now. So when you start to take a step back and you're going further into self, you say, oh, I'm actually not capable of dealing with people yet because I haven't dealt with myself. And instead of dealing with yourself, you blame everybody else for your continued operations and the cycles. Anytime you find yourself in a cycle over and over, that is not someone else doing something to you. That is you doing it to yourself over and over. You find yourself with the wrong people. It is you that has not rewired yourself, has not changed the conditions of your cycle, has not changed the meaning, right, and the applied feeling towards triggers and ideas. That is not no one doing anything to you. Nobody is forcing the same situation down your throat over and over and over and over. But accountability is what most people are allergic to. So instead of finding accountability, we justify, right, the feelings that we have, the emotions that we have. And then we vilify everybody else and victimize ourselves. I am the victim. They are wrong. No, you are dead wrong for putting yourself in the situation again. But let's go deeper. So you're not qualified to deal with the world yet. And instead of us having that accountability of, yeah, all right, they held us back. We dealt with oppression. We know that the history and the observance of these things are. What do we do moving forward? Or do we go cycling the feelings? No. Rise above emotions into the thinking of God. God thinks in a logical manner. How do we know God thinks logical? Let's deal with it. We know for a fact God thinks logical because his creation emanates in logic. Everything in his creation has purpose and have meaning. That means that God, the creator, is logical. When he creates the connection between the bees and the flowers and the bugs and how we pollinate the earth and the spiral and the geometry and the sunflower and the universe, and everything has some sort of logical component. Everything in nature is made. It's not just beautiful. There is a point and a reason for that. You may not understand it, but when you go deeper into the understanding, now you get it. So if you want to be godly, you have to operate in purpose and the manufacturing of logic in the way you do things. When you see somebody living godly, you go walk into their house and you see everything has purpose. What is this for? They say, I don't know. Oh, that ain't God. You should be able to study and know. You should know. When we look at our lives, why do we do things? Oh, this has a purpose. Oh, I only say this because of this. Oh, I wear this because of this. Now, some people say, oh, that's too logical. That's too. Well, I might be talking about my type of God. Maybe you want to be a different type. There's different types. I'm talking about the masters. I'm talking about those who have that power.